Welcome back to QC Live. Now check out who stopped by this morning. Mary King is here to talk about something really important. Mary, welcome.
Jana, I'm grateful to be here, and we've been talking a lot about hands-on heroes. You've seen it in promotions, you've seen it in our newscasts, and so I'm grateful to get to chat with you guys about it today too, because I want to show you this number, and it's a scary number. Just over 9% of people survive a cardiac arrest that happens outside of a hospital. That's according to the American Heart Association, who also says that if you do CPR, it doubles or triples a person's chances of surviving that cardiac arrest. And a bank president in Mooresville believes he's among that 9% because of his colleagues. Mark Brady's sudden cardiac arrest was caught on surveillance camera. And while he says it's still hard to talk about, he's determined to share his story and hopes more people will learn CPR. For Mark Brady, retracing moments from October 2nd, 2022 can be a blur.
I try to go back, but I can't remember.
But surveillance cameras and his colleagues help fill in the blanks.
When we found him, it was just the tables.
Mark says he remembers everything up until his sudden cardiac arrest.
I told him I'd be back around 3 to help take everything down.
While the First Reliance Bank president had taken the day off to work in his yard, he wanted to help set up and tear down the bank's Food Truck Friday event.
Because Mark typically parked in front of our building so we could see out the window, but he didn't. He parked on the opposite side because our client's truck was here. So we had no idea.
Mark was putting chairs and tables away until cameras captured him pausing over a table around 3:05 p.m. and then collapsing to the ground with no one around. Colleague Tammy Brewer says a client who left the bank found Mark unconscious in the parking lot. It was 3:07.
And then he came and started, like, immediately just banged on the door and he said, call 911.
And all of a sudden I hear commotion, like yelling and stuff. And so I ran out and I said, what's going on? And that's when she said, it's Mark. That's all she said, it's Mark.
Bank colleague Bruni Melia says she ran out the door and asked if Mark was breathing.
Instinctually, I just got to my knees and started compressions. After a little bit, I did check for a pulse. There was no pulse and no breathing.
Bruni kept doing CPR, and then the man who found Mark offered to take over. Bruni coached him through the process.
Am I doing this right? Am I doing enough? Because I've never run into that situation before. So it was very scary, but I knew that I couldn't stop.
Fire and EMS arrived at 3:10, 2 minutes after the pair started CPR.
And it was by the grace of God. I give all the glory to him because the timing was perfect. If I'd have been home, my wife would have come home and found me dead.
Mark was in an induced coma for 10 days before waking up to learn what happened.
Bruni is the one that saved my life. I can't tell people enough about CPR. I lived it.
You know, when I was talking to the EMS crew later, I said, afterwards I kept running the scenario and I thought, well, I didn't do that right, but I don't think I did that right. And they said, no, you did everything you were supposed to do. My goal is to tell everybody, just do something.
All three say their lives have forever changed. In addition to advocating for CPR, they say every moment is a gift.
He says he no longer has problems, only opportunities.
Yes, it does. Mm-hmm. You realize how fragile life is, and you don't take it for granted.
Yeah, you don't take it for granted. And Jana, I know that those surveillance images can be really startling and jarring. And for Mark, he talks about, again, how hard it is to look back at the video. But he told me he felt like it was his responsibility to share and to be okay with putting those images out there because he felt like it would hopefully catch someone's attention to then stop and learn CPR.
I think you said that perfectly, and I'm glad that he was willing to share those because the biggest message I took away from that is do something. Mm-hmm. So when you were having these conversations and, like she said, replaying that scenario, because we could always guess ourselves to death and be frozen in that panic. But what did you feel like came away in terms of learning just to continue to train on that every single year and that muscle memory that gets developed?
Yeah, so Bruni shared, she actually worked for the Y for many years and they had to do an annual certification. So she said it was just ingrained in her mind and she had done it so many times, almost to the point of like, I'm never going to use this. I'm never going to need that. But she said, when you're practicing, you are clicking a dummy, and so you almost take it for granted. But that as she looks back, She's so grateful she did it as many times as she did, because when it's real life and you don't hear the click, you just have to keep going. And having that experience and having had done it so many times, she said she was like, I would do it all over again. And she's going to continue to do it, obviously. So.
Yeah, I mean, and that just shows you the continual training, and if your brain is at least ingrained in some way, hey, do something, keep moving, keep this body in motion until help gets here. I think that's so important. Now, also, we wanted to talk about some of the kind of the playful moments of CPR, the songs that you can think about, because those can actually keep you on a certain rhythm depending on the beats per minute, right?
Yeah, so the American Heart Association has like a whole list of songs that, you know, and one of the big ones is Staying Alive by the Bee Gees, that if you play that song in your mind while you're doing the compressions, it's the beat that they want you to stay on to keep that heart, you know, get that heart beating. And I asked Bruni, I said, I know they tell you that. Did a song come to mind for you while you were doing that? And she said, honestly, it did. She said,
wow.
Which was wild. She goes, at first, it's just you don't even know what you're doing, what situation you're in. But as you get going, you realize, I want to do everything I can. And because it's ingrained in you to find that rhythm and to find that song, she said, I started counting the beat. And then when the gentleman with her, the client who had found Mark, took over, she was counting the beat out loud for him in the rhythm of the songs. And so she said, I know it's kind of a playful thing, but really, man, if you find that song that works for you and it sticks with you, you'll be surprised how much it just shows up in that time of need.
Yeah, I mean, because the both of you talked about just making sure that you were keeping that going. Now, Mary, this has been such a special project for you. Why is this so close to your heart?
My mom has heart disease, and oh gosh, didn't know we were going there today. No.
I've seen how passionate you are in creating this entire initiative, and like, you know, I just want people to know this isn't just a story you're doing. Like, this is a big part of your life and a big part of who you are.
Well, I appreciate that, and I'm grateful for the opportunity, because everybody here at the station has grabbed it by the reins and run with it. We have hundreds of people signed up for Friday, and just to think, if one more person is in the right place at the right time and knows what to do, we've done our job.
That's right, and you're doing a great job. Now, everybody, you can sign up for Hands on Heroes event happening Friday. Mary and I will both be there. WBTV has partnered with the American Heart Association for this event. We'll be out there all day. We're even bringing you QC Life live from the Hub at both 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. Friday. We're going to get some really great heart healthy advice, including what to look for at the grocery store and how to swap out that salt without losing the